What if everything you've been told about the dawn of civilization was off? And not just by a little, but by 10, maybe even 20,000 years. It's a pretty wild thought, right? But it's a question that's being seriously asked, all because of a couple of incredible and, yeah, incredibly controversial discoveries that could literally rewrite the first chapter of the human story. So this is really the big question that's shaking things up for historians and archaeologists. The standard timeline says complex societies, big cities, all that stuff kicked off around 5 to 7,000 years ago with places like Sumeria. But what if that's like starting a book on page 50? What if we've been missing the entire beginning? So, our whole investigation is going to center on two places that honestly couldn't be more different. One is this jungle-covered hill in Indonesia that might actually be a pyramid, and the other is a massive, blocky structure just sitting under the ocean waves off of Japan. But they both point to the exact same, pretty startling possibility. All right, first up, let's head to Indonesia, to a place called Gunung Padang. The name means Mountain of Enlightenment. Now, for a long, long time, people just saw it as a natural hill that happened to have some cool ancient ruins on top. But, and this is a big but, recent research is suggesting the entire hill might be a man-made structure of an absolutely unbelievable age. The crazy thing is, this site has been hiding in plain sight for ages. A Dutch historian wrote about it way back in 1914, but then it was pretty much forgotten until it was officially rediscovered in 1979. But the real story, the part that gets wild, starts in 2012. That's when a geologist named Danny Hillman brought in the big guns, tech like ground-penetrating radar and seismic tomography. Think of it like a giant CT scan for the Earth, to see what was actually inside the hill. And this is what his team claims they found. The top layer, the stuff you can see, is made of these cool volcanic rock columns, and it's about 3,000 years old. Okay, not too shocking. But as they drilled deeper, the dates just kept going back and back, way back. They found another layer from about 8,000 years ago. And then a third layer, a full 15 meters down, that carbon dating suggests was built an incredible 28,000 years ago. Now, to put that in perspective, that's thousands of years before the peak of the last ice age, a time when huge glaciers covered a lot of the planet. Just let that number sink in for a second. 28,000 years. That is more than 20,000 years before the pyramids of Giza were built. It makes Göbekli Tepe, which we thought was the oldest temple in the world, look young by about 16,000 years. I mean, if this is true, it doesn't just change history, it completely rewrites it. So this is the huge, bold conclusion from the lead researcher, Danny Hillman. He's arguing that what looks like a natural hill is actually a massive, terraced pyramid built over thousands of years by a civilization we know absolutely nothing about, a completely lost civilization. But, and you knew there was a but coming, here's the pushback. Mainstream archaeology is, let's just say, deeply skeptical. Archaeologists like Flint Dibble are arguing that these deep layers aren't man-made construction at all. They think it's just natural geology, that the rocks could have simply tumbled down the hill over millennia and settled into these patterns. So the whole thing hangs on this one question. Is it a lost pyramid or just a really funny-looking hill? Okay, now let's hop over to our second mystery. This one takes us from a jungle in Indonesia to under the sea, off the coast of Japan. This is the Yonaguni Monument, and you're about to see a very, very similar debate spark all over again. This thing was actually found by accident by a local diver back in 1986. It's this colossal single block of rock. We're talking about the size of a football field, sitting in pretty shallow water. And pay attention to the material here, because it's a huge part of the argument. It's made of sandstone. And here we go again. We've arrived at the exact same question we had in Indonesia, just, this time it's underwater. Are we looking at the incredible work of ancient people, or is this just the patient, powerful, and maybe a little artistic work of Mother Nature? So on one side, you have proponents like geologist Masaki Kimura. They point to all these stunningly regular features, the flat terraces, the sharp 90-degree angles, and basically say, come on, this looks way too artificial to be natural. They think it was carved about 10,000 years ago, back when sea levels were lower and this whole area was dry land. But then the skeptics fire back, pointing out that sandstone is a type of rock that just naturally breaks in clean straight lines. They argue powerful ocean currents could have easily carved these shapes. And here's the real kicker. They point out there are no tools, no pottery, no bones, none of the usual stuff archaeologists find that says people were here. So we've got these two incredible sites, thousands of miles apart, both trapped in the exact same fundamental argument. And this really isn't just about two isolated mysteries. It's about a bigger pattern, one that challenges how we think about our own history. When you look at both stories together, you start to see the same things pop up. You've got these passionate, often lone wolf researchers going up against the established scientific view. You've got this huge debate over whether the data is geological or archaeological. And you have this undeniable popular fascination we all have with the idea of lost civilizations, ancient forgotten worlds like Atlantis or the sunken continent of Sundaland. So what it all boils down to is this. The claims being made about Gunung Padang and Yonaguni are, well, they're extraordinary. And you know the old saying, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Right now, the evidence is tantalizing, it's super thought-provoking, but for the wider scientific community, it just hasn't crossed that line into being conclusive proof. It's not the smoking gun. Yet. Now, there's a key term that gets thrown around a lot in these debates, and it's good to know what it means: pseudo-archaeology. Mainstream scientists will sometimes use this label for theories they think take a huge leap, way beyond what the physical evidence can actually support. It highlights that really fine line between pioneering a brand new discovery and just promoting a fantasy. So after looking at all this conflicting evidence and all of this heated debate, what are we supposed to take away from it all? I mean, why is this so important? We are right back at that big central question. Are we looking at the legacy of a lost world, a forgotten chapter of our own story? Or are we just admiring Mother Nature's very, very clever handiwork? The truth is, right now, we can't say for sure. But maybe looking for a simple yes or no answer is missing the whole point. The real value of places like Gunung Padang and Yonaguni isn't just about whether they're man-made or not. It's that they force us to go right to the edge of what we know, to question the timeline we've always accepted, and to admit that maybe, just maybe, the book of human history has entire chapters we haven't even found yet. And that leaves us with one last really fascinating thought. Whether these two sites are man-made or natural, they remind us that our planet is huge, and our history is incredibly deep. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else is out there, hidden just under the soil or deep beneath the waves, just waiting to be discovered and to change our story forever?